ever bet on the horses, Philip?
Yeah, I've had a few flights here and there.
Have you ever bet on the horses but have failed to win anything yet?
Bet they haven't.
Bet they haven't as well. So we're no experts, but we have got a few tips for you.
If you're new to horse racing, you might want to choose your selection using some simple yet fun techniques.
You can bet on a horse purely down to the jockey's name. For instance, a lot of people like to follow Frankie Dettori if he's taking the ride.
Have you got a favourite colour? Well, if you have, you can back a horse based on the colour of their silks. For instance, Frankie Dettori normally rides in blue for the Godolphin stable.
You might even choose a horse on the basis of his name. So, for instance, my favourites are He Went Whoosh and Kinky Afro.
You can bet on all these things well in advance using the anti-post market.
Or even before the horses have made it into the paddock.
That's very true. A great time to suss out a few things about the horse is when they enter the paddock.
There could be one that's very lively, which might be a sign that they're raring to go.
Another good sign might be if the horse decides to have a poo in the paddock. To some, that means he's going to be lighter and run faster. But you never know.
A horse might start sweating up in the paddock, which means that he might not be focused on the job in hand and not ready to race.
But it's not all that simple, you know. There's a lot more to it.
If you're gifted enough, like us to be able to read a form guide, there's plenty of things to look for if you're trying to pick a winner.
For starters, following a certain trainer in specific races can be very rewarding.
Take Sir Mark Prescott, for instance. His strike rate over the past 5 seasons with 2-year-olds is nothing to go mad about. I mean, it's only 11%.
The reason is that many of his juveniles tend to be slow maturing types.
But just look at his horses a year later. His 3-year-olds have a 27% strike rate, so patience can be a rewarding virtue.
And it doesn't stop there. Back his runners in handicapped, and nearly 1 in 3 come through at 28%.
Also, as we mentioned earlier, looking out for a jockey who's on board a horse could be wise. Take, for example, Frankie Dettori.
He's the main stable jockey for Godolphin, one of the biggest stables in the world. But he does ride for other trainers, and he does have great strike rates for them.
For example, he has a 67% strike rate when riding for trainer John Gosden.
And with Michael Jarvis, he's 42%.
Where the horse is drawn can also be a key factor to look out for.
For example, low draws at Chester are preferred due to the tight nature of the track. Grabbing the stand rail is crucial.
The going, or the state of the ground, can also be a deciding factor when searching for a winner.
Some horses are suited to softer ground, so will benefit when the weather turns wet.
While some run better on firm or good ground, which is usually the type of ground for summer racing.
So you've heard our tips, and now you know what to look out for. All that's left is to click on Bettor.com and place your bets.